Welcome to Thriving Tribesmen. My name is Kuri, your host, and I'm excited to be making this episode. Today, it's been almost 23 hours. I've been awake and absolutely exhausted, ready to go to sleep. Had loads of calls, had lots of conversations, and it's been absolutely impactful. And this is where I got the energy from. Haven't eaten properly. So I'm really going to take this weekend to relax, get some energy back. I might get involved into a few other phone calls this weekend. But I'm finding it that as the more I speak to people and the more we get into the content of what I've been teaching, especially when we're diving a lot deeper, I'm getting an understanding on which concept would come before what concept. And I think the biggest revelation in this week was that is the stuff that we're teaching isn't another course where you just sit down and you learn all this information. It's more we're equipping you with skills. And this is equivalent to going to boot camp, military, let's say buds for Navy SEALs. And literally we're training you on different concepts. And these are if you think of really, really great leaders, these are the exact same principles that they use. And if you think of people like Alexander the Great, these are people that end up being leaders from a very young age, leading men that were much more astute and more experienced, but because they had these key concepts and they knew how to implement these concepts, they made them leaders. And if you think of Alexander the Great, who is absolutely incredible human being, he went and conquered many warlords that were around the world at the time, and he was only just a young man. And to make it even more exciting, he ended up marrying the most beautiful woman as well. And it just goes to show that when you can have the right principles, especially as a leader, there is no end to, there's no limit. The only limit ends up becoming you. And this is why this is so powerful, because I think a lot of the guys, they get bogged down into, this sexless marriage and life is terrible and there's nothing else that is out there. And again, when it comes to looking at it from an entire perspective, it is a very difficult situation. It is a horrible situation. And because I've lived through that, I would never wish it on anyone. But the amazing thing about it is that while these past 2 weeks we've had good conversations with the guys that are within the case study, there's a massive difference between the guys that are in the case study and the guys that have not got into the case study. These guys have seen the pain, they've seen the issue that is happening, and they've also started weighing what are the potential consequences for not acting. And the consequence of not acting, there's 3 ways of leaving a sexless relationship. Is 1, you die; 2, divorce; or the third one, you actually work on it. And I think most people would probably choose the first 2 before they actually work on it, because working on it requires you to have to admit that there is something wrong in order for you to actually start working on it, which is a very difficult thing for most people. Because, and I remember to really express this and to show you how crazy it can be, is that I remember once I was in South Africa and I moved to a different part of the country where I did not speak the language. And I had to take a communal taxi. So it's almost like a small mini bus where it will fit maybe about 15 people. And it will go along, similar to a bus, go different stops, and then you can choose your stop. So my dad told me, when you get to this point, make sure that you say these words so that you can, the minibus driver will stop, and then you can get home. So I knew what he told me, but because I didn't know the language that well, I was very nervous about it. I was nervous about it saying it, And then because I was around people, I felt like if I say something, they're going to judge me. And the whole time I was in the minivan, as we were progressing, getting closer to where I was supposed to be dropping off, I was in my head, I was thinking, what are these people going to think? And once I say it, they're going to laugh at me. And I was, the more I thought about it, the more nervous I got about it. And when it was now time to call out and say, can you stop? I said, can you stop, in this most smallest voice. Like nobody, but the people that are around me heard me, but the actual driver did not hear anything. Or probably he heard, but then he was not sure what was said. It was the most, because I was so nervous and I just didn't want people to judge me. And because I sort of worked myself up into this anxiety, like I was literally feeling anxious about. And I saw my stop, and because he had not heard me, he continued driving. So the people now around me started feeling nervous because they know I wanted to stop. And then they don't want to tell me that, they didn't want to say anything to me because they didn't know how I was going to react about it. So we're now all this weird thing where I'm afraid of being judged. They're afraid of being judged. So no one is saying anything. And the longer I stayed just going, thinking about it, the further I was being driven away from my home. In the end, I realized that if I don't say anything right now, I'm going to be 10, 15 miles away from home, and I won't be able to even walk home. It's going to be, and at that time it was actually towards sunset, so it was already getting dark. And if you know South Africa, you don't walk in the dark in South Africa. It's not safe at all. Anyways, I just said to him, I shouted, can you stop here, with the only few words I knew to speak in that language. And he managed to stop. I started walking. I was about 5 miles away from home. It took me a few hours to actually end up walking home. Because, anyways, I'm saying this story because I would not, I got crippled from making a move based off of what I was thinking, what people would think. I think if I'd mentioned the stop out loud initially with my broken language, or the language that I had at the time, they would have thought, maybe might have laughed, but I would have gone home with no issues and without any, having to travel for a lot further than I did. But what I did was that I allowed the emotions of me judging myself and other people judging me to stop me from making the right decision. And then it prolonged the suffering. And there's an opportunity where you can actually fix your sexless relationship. But maybe you are afraid of the judgment that you're going to get from your wife, the judgment that you're going to get from your family and friends, that you're trying to get this sorted. Yes, it might feel embarrassing, but the embarrassment of divorce is way worse than actually trying to fix it. And I think a few weeks ago, I heard of a guy that one of the guys I was talking to at Reddit. One of the guys that I really struggled, and I remember this because I really struggled to help this guy. He was a corporate guy, in family, he was doing well in business, but he was struggling with the sexless relationship. And I recently heard that he actually passed away. He took his life, and it's a very sad event. And I would imagine the sexless bit contributed to that. And I'm saying this because it's the more I speak to some of these other guys, I realize that the guys that are actually taking action, you can see a difference between where they are now and where they are, what they were when we started. And I can tell you right now, full transparency, out of the 8 that are here, only 2 have actually managed to get laid or be in sex, which is amazing. But the other guys who haven't, they still have had a transformation. The clarity of knowing the reason why you're in a sexless relationship frees you completely. Because sometimes, and I can tell you right now, what we teach is going to equip you to be able to understand what's going on. And sometimes it might be too far gone for you to actually change. So, and that's just a thing that will happen. But one thing I can guarantee you is that whether you remain in this relationship or whether you start another relationship, it's going to be fulfilling because you have the right tools to create an amazing relationship. Part of you is going to have to really start considering, am I willing to go a further extra 5 miles away from these stops that I'm here right now? And I'm asking you to take the moment to make a decision to go to our Instagram, go and write case study and join our case study so we can start helping you. Because I know you don't want to put yourself out there. You probably don't want to be the guy who's going to be saying, I need help with my sexless relationship, because it feels like you failed as a man. It doesn't make you a failure. It makes you a great leader. Great leaders understand and point out their weaknesses and then make them into strengths. People that are followers are the ones that look at the weakness and then they try and hide their weakness. And if you think about it, the reason why you're in a sexless relationship is that you've been trying to hide your weaknesses instead of facing them and making them into strengths. When you can start making when you stop hiding and start making all your weaknesses into strengths, this is exactly what then becomes attractive to your partner. And like, again, I'm not trying to blame you for the sexless relationship, but like I said, it takes two to contribute. And if you cannot step up and make a conscious effort to make a difference in your relationship, there's nothing I can do to make you do it, but I can help you and I can equip you to actually change it. So, and I'm giving you this opportunity to come and do this. We can work together. I can equip you, not just for your relationship, but move you from a point where you're going to go into, give you a path to actually get to a place of power. We're going to give you directions so you can see how to become a powerful man, somebody who's going to be formidable. Nothing will be able to stop you. Doesn't matter whether it's business, relationships, any relationship that you're going to be around, you're going to be able to not just understand the key drivers that people are showing you, but you'll be able to influence the people that are around you. So I'm going to start knocking on the head here because I'm quite tired. But I thought after going through the content, after going through the calls, I realized that there's some of you guys that are just listening to the podcast episode, and I think it's something that has been on my mind, and I've been feeling a little bit, I don't know how to just feeling a little bit sad that there's people that are just listening and not actually acting. And the sad part about it is that I want to transform everyone, and I'm not going to transform everyone, but I want to give you that opportunity to actually be kind to yourself and really do something that will transform your life. Don't hide away. Don't hide your weakness and just hope that this podcast is going to transform you. Yes, it's going to help you to understand a few concepts, but what's going to really help you is really taking action and having somebody to show you how to actually implement these. And so, like I said, a large chunk of it is going to be me helping you figure out a lot of things and getting better at the skill of really getting powerful. So thank you very much for listening. Hopefully this has been helpful and this has been challenging for you to actually start transforming your life and getting better at making the decisions of not hiding your weakness, but really bringing it to light and dealing with it. So thank you very much. I'll be seeing you soon. Take care.